Hey everyone, no respawns here. Hope you're having a grand week. So this is Pacific Drive, a game I've been following and kind of had a close eye on since around summer last year, when we started getting inundated with all of the summer gameplay for trailers for various different bits and pieces. And during that time, it's always very difficult for stuff to stand out, but this definitely stood out because I really like survival games, and this just has a really kind of cool gimmick. So when is it releasing? So it's releasing on February the 22nd. It's going to be available on Steam as well as PlayStation. I believe it is a PlayStation exclusive. I don't know how exclusive that is. I don't know if it's a timed exclusive. I will note that I am playing this on PC, and it has all of the Xbox inputs, so maybe later down the line there is a chance, but for now just assume it's not going to be available on Xbox, and you either have to play it on PC or PlayStation. So as I said, I really like survival games a lot. It's one of my favourite genres, but it is kind of saturated. There are lots of survival games out, so to really stand out, you have to do something new. You know, I think Rust clones are kind of dead right now, and this one was just really refreshing. The focus on the car, focus on the maintaining the car, and also just the fact that you can pretty much just pull everything out of it and put everything back together again, and there's huge amounts of customization. It's just so fun. So in terms of like kind of the main focus, so you have this hub area, this garage that you kind of arrive just after the prologue, and it's quite kind of bare bones at the start. You arrive with your car, so you do get your car beforehand, and you use this as your launching point to explore little kind of sectioned off zones. So the game is kind of set in this, it's very Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl in the fact that there's this kind of exclusion zone that people can't normally get into, but you found yourself in. In this instance, it's very paranormal sci-fi, which I absolutely love. Think SCP Foundation, think Control, think Alan Wake. It's just a really cool, it's a familiar but weirdly not focused enough concept, and I really enjoy it. And your main kind of gameplay loop is the fact that you go out to these little areas, you scavenge, you avoid the anomalies, you explore, and then you come back with all of your loot, all of your energy, which is one of the kind of key crafting, well, I say crafting, blueprint unlocking resources in the game, and then you can upgrade your car, and then as you go you get better upgrades, you get more unique upgrades, and yeah, it's just a really cool concept. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's also quite a robust story too, so I played around 12-ish hours, I think. Yeah, kind of about 12 hours, and realistically I could have probably cut that down in half with the gameplay, but I really wanted to kind of fine-tooth comb everything. And in that time, I did get grips to a lot of the story. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil very much, but one thing I really like is similar to, like, for example, if you played the game Control, how in Control there are objects which are sort of imbued with energy. Your car is one of those objects in this game's universe, and so therefore it's a little bit weird. So one thing that happens is when you're exploring around, and you know, I think there are certain triggers that make it happen, but your car can develop quirks. So your car will be driving around, and you'll start to notice something, sometimes not overtly weird happening, but just like, wait a second, my side door kept opening on the right side of my car, and I was like, that's opening a lot. And I realized afterwards, wait a second, it's a quirk. And there seem to be many of these. It's just a really kind of cool, unique little concept. On the broader gameplay loop, some of you won't like it at all. I think if you really like survival games, you're probably going to absolutely adore this. If you don't like survival games, obviously it's probably not going to be for you. It is very brutal. And the way that the worlds work, and the fact is that they're clearly kind of, the maps are fixed, but what actually happens in the maps in terms of the anomalies, the weather, and all those other effects is actually randomized, and this can cause quite unpredictable gameplay, but also the difficulty seems to be quite wild. So in one instance, and I was like, okay, rather than, you know, when I started kind of just playing around the game, rather than going to a storyline area, I went to one of the optional areas instead. And I at this point, I didn't know what all the icons meant when I was looking at it in the game prep map in the hub area. And so I just picked one because it was like, oh, that one's not too far away. And I think I picked one of the hardest maps ever, and it was just a case of there were crazy weather patterns, everything was happening at the same time. It was absolutely insane, whereas other ones aren't so bad. So that kind of element of randomization is really cool. When you're in the maps as well, the anomalies are just so varied and just just weird. What's going to be probably the most iconic one, and the one that you've probably seen if you've seen footage of this game, is the creepy mannequins. So are these creepy mannequins that sort of follow you in a very, if you've watched Doctor Who, Don't Blink kind of way, like the creepy angel statues, and it's very much like that. And even though, as you play, you'll kind of interact and figure out how they function, it still scares the absolute shit into you, and I get very anxious when they're near me. Another one which I didn't catch footage of, but it was amazing, was this one that was just this weird bundle of cars in the middle of the road that just immediately sucked me into it, and I thought my character was dead, and I was just spat out. There's kind of like these weird gas cloud lightning storms, these really, really annoying things called bunnies which bounce around and attach to your car. It's just so much fun, and it's really, really mad. It's very familiar, in fact, to the game Stalker, with the kind of the gravity fluctuations as well. So you're going to see there's definitely a lot of inspiration there. In terms of the scavenging, that part's quite satisfying. So you a lot of the time you're just kind of looting containers, but you also have various tools you can use to basically just hack up cars and trucks and get the various resources from there. Possibly might get a little bit boring after a while, but I found it quite satisfying. And to be honest, once you've got the resources you need, when you go on a run, you might not need any more metal. It could possibly get a little bit repetitive for some people, but I think as long as you treat a run as like, okay, I have a goal and I'm kind of looking for these specific things, it comes quite fun. In terms of when you're out on a run, they are fairly timed. So as you're in an area, it starts to collapse after a period of time. That initially put me off, and then I realized that, to be honest, because of the size of the maps and kind of what I'm doing, I don't really need that much time. This can also, I believe, fluctuate as well, because when you start a run, it sort of randomizes a few of the attributes, so you can have areas that are a bit more stable than others. But the big thing when you finish a run is you have to fuel up it's kind of like a transporter in your car with these stable energy little containers, and then you put them into this little machine in the side of your car. You mainly need about 1 or 2, and then when you activate this, it opens up a gate, and then you have a set amount of time to just beeline it to this gate, this giant big pillar of light. And often this can sometimes this can be a pretty easy journey. Often it can be absolutely crazy, especially if the pillar of light is in a really awkward to reach location, and especially if the weather conditions and the kind of difficulty in that specific area is an absolute... it's just so fun. I really, really enjoy it. Now, in the hub area, so hub area is your big garage. And what I like, and you can tell this was built with a lot of love, is they've understood that I want to customize everything. So you can customize your car to the end of time, by the way. There's so many options. But just before I get to the customization of the car, let me talk about the customization of the garage. You unlock loads of crafting stations. You can expand your storage, and you can affect, the garage starts to grow a little bit, which I really liked, even just in the kind of fairly small amount of time comparatively I played. The preview build, I actually got to kind of add more containers, more crafting areas. It was just quite cool. Even a basketball hoop, which I still didn't manage to score once. It was quite embarrassing, but I'm English, we play football, it's different. But yeah, no, it was quite grand, and that customization obviously focuses on the car, and that's the big area of customization. So there are practical upgrades, so there's huge amount of kind of different doors you can replace, bumpers, windshields, gadgets, storage, and it isn't like, where you're playing like a survival game and you have armor sets where it's like, okay, I'm in leather, then I'm in steel, then I'm in dark iron, then I'm in adamantium, that kind of thing. There is a tier level, but there are several options that you can go down. So you can have an armored car door, or you can have an insulated car door, and it's making it so that you don't have to go down one specific direction. You can kind of tailor your car to how you like. A good example was the tires, actually. So I went for the off-road tires because I noticed that I was often having to escape the area where the big bar of energy was actually in the middle of a forest. So if I had normal tires, I just couldn't get anywhere. Whereas I need the off-road tires. I was like, okay, I can actually survive this. But there are ones which make it so you can go across water easier, and maybe if you take a look at an area, you might go, okay, I'm going to take out my tires and put these ones on instead. So there's quite a lot you can do. There's loads of ability gadgets as well. So one thing I had a couple of things. It replaced my front bumper with this sort of repulsor field, which is really, really good to beat off a few anomalies. I also had a lightning rod that I stuck on the side storage areas of my car, which enabled to recharge my battery. There's just so much you can do. And what I love is that's not all. So there's huge huge amounts of customization. My car was green with like kind of go faster stripes down the side, but actually starts a different color. And you can also replace your steering wheel, your kind of stick shift, bubble heads, you know, things to hang on your mirror, and stickers. And it's just very, very cool. I also just like the way that you unlock these as well. You find them in the map rather than like set. You don't kind of like, oh, I unlocked this level of recipes. You just find stuff, which means that, you know, I may have found stuff that you guys didn't find. It's just really, really cool. I've really, you can tell this was built with a lot of love and attention. And yeah, okay, maybe I'm gushing it over a little bit, but to be honest, considering how easy it is to get hyped up over something, and I've been kind of keen on this since last summer, it's so refreshing for a game to actually hit my expectations and deliver exactly what I was hoping for. So yeah, hopefully I gave you a little bit of an idea of whether this game might be interesting for you. I said I absolutely loved it. Links in the description. So it's available on Steam and as well as PlayStation. It's not available on Xbox, as I said, because at least for now I think it's a PlayStation exclusive for consoles. However, potentially later down the line it might be. Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you got a little bit more hyped. I'm be doing a lot more of these videos, and they might become a little bit more refined over time. One thing I've wanted to do for ages is sort of cover games that I like playing, but I don't maybe want to do a guide video on it, or maybe I just don't want to do a load of gameplay videos. So I thought something a little bit shorter, where I just give you kind of the cliff notes, effectively, of what this game's about and maybe if it's good for you. Expect more videos of these fairly regularly, because especially this year, there are so many good survival games dropping especially, and I'm going to want to show these off to you, and hopefully maybe you guys will see something you like. Anywho, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you absolutely lovely bunch soon. You take care.